Hello everyone, I welcome you again in another discussion in Master Mains PYQs. This is a unique initiative from NEXT IAS where you will have a discussion on a question. You can write that question and you can upload your answers on the portal. We have provided a link in the description. We will evaluate your answers and you will get a score. So do utilize this initiative to the fullest. So in the last video, we were discussing a question on caste system and it was from your Indian society section of your syllabus in GS paper 1. Today, I bring you another question and that is on marriage, another institution in Indian society, and this is also from GS1 Indian society, salient features of Indian society. So this question was a 10 marker and you have to use 150 words to write the answer to. First and foremost, I would like to discuss is the nature of this question. Okay, so the question says, do you think marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in modern India? So the question is obviously on marriage, but the question language indicates that it is a opinion based question. Okay, so opinion based questions, you need to address the demand of the question in a way that you are presenting your opinion. And it is very key to know what kind of question it is to address the demand of the question. So how you can showcase your opinion in UPSC mains? You need to basically discuss the two sides. You cannot restrict yourself to one side. That you may agree that marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in modern India. You can agree to it. And you have to disagree to it also. Okay. So this is basically the nature of this question. The way you will approach it, the structure will be that you will introduce by means of definition, or maybe you will give relevant context. You will discuss about, let's say, some current affairs. Then you will jump into your body. In body, you will agree to this statement and then you will disagree. And finally, you will conclude. Your conclusion should showcase your depth understanding of this topic. Fine. So earlier we also discussed that in Indian society, there are many institutions. They are undergoing constant change because of some historical reasons and because of the ongoing globalization, modernization, urbanization, industrialization processes. All these changes are manifested in the form of newer kind of institutions. So, for example, marriage. So you all must be knowing that we have seen a lot of change in marriage as an institution. What changes you can observe around you? You can see that love marriages are becoming very famous. Around 53% of love marriages are love marriage. We have shared all this data with you in the model answer, and the reference to this data is also given in the model answer. So I am giving you a context. So apart from love marriages, there is a 33% rise in live-in relationships also. And recently you have seen Supreme Court was also discussing legalizing the marriage between homosexual partners. So that was also a current news. You can think of in this way also about this question, that why the LGBTQ plus community was demanding equality in marital rights. There might be, or there is a weight to the sacramental nature of marriage, or there is a weight towards marriage as an institution, because of which people are demanding it. If not, people may have restricted themselves to, let's say, civil relationships. They have option of living in a live-in relationship, but they were demanding equality in marital rights, because marriage, if we will discuss, marriage comes with some rights, some duties. It is also a socially accepted union. Okay, so there is both sides of the coin, that yes, because of various forces, industrialization, urbanization, globalization, there are changes which are happening in marriage, agreed, but still we see that people are marrying inside their caste, people are still following endogamy, people are still marrying within their religion, and there is a huge political issue of people marrying outside their religion. So you must know that marriage is very important, first of all, and marriage is undergoing a lot of change. Okay, and marriage as a sacrament is, whether it is losing value or not, this is you have to discuss. So I have discussed the structure with you. Okay, I have discussed the nature of the question. The demand of the question is, I have discussed it. So now you can write the answer to this question. Okay, we will discuss bit by bit. Okay, so first thing first, let us jump into the introduction part. Okay, so in introduction, what you can do is you can basically choose this institution's definition. So you can write definition to marriage. What is the definition of marriage? It is a socially and legally sanctioned union between men and women. Usually it is governed by, let's say, it is regulated by various customs, traditions, rituals. Also, it is prescribing certain duties and responsibilities to the partners. This is a basic definition of marriage. You can afford, you may not be able to afford in a 10 marker such a long definition. What you can do is you can basically write single line that marriage is a legally and socially sanctioned union of men and women. That is it. Then what you can do in introduction, apart from definition, or I should say the alternative to definition, can be your current event. Okay, so current event is the Supreme Court case. This makes it pertinent for us to discuss the status of marriage, or let's say the sacramental nature of marriage. Fine. So I will give a limited amount of time on this part, this sacrament part. Okay, so you all know what kind of marriages we have in India. In Indian society, we have marriages which are highly ritualistic, which are dominated by let's say arranged marriage. They are usually arranged. The families are involved. Okay, and there are a lot of rituals which goes on into astrology goes into, and it is not like a contract as happened in Western society. It is very holistic event in one's life. Okay, so this is what sacrament is all about. So you can write a bit about sacrament in one or two line. You can say that in India, marriage has a sacramental value, meaning it is not a contract. It cannot be violated. It cannot be solved. Okay, you have to stick to one partner throughout your life. It is relevant for your ashram system. It is a sanskar. All these things you can mention. Whatever thing you can bring in to denote that marriage has religious connotations. You can say we follow Saptapadi ritual. You can say we follow some astrology also. Okay, all these things you can mention, and all other religions also. In India, all other religions, religious communities also, they also make marriage as a core religious event. Fine. So this is the sacrament nature of marriage. Fine. Now let us talk about the changes in the marriage. So what you can do after writing introduction and a bit about sacramental nature of marriage, you can directly jump to a connecting line or a subheading which will form your body part. Okay, so in body you can start because of various forces. So you can write forces such as, you can write some examples. Globalization. Okay, what happens with globalization? Ideas are exchanged. Okay, industrialization. What is happening because of industrialization? The economic system changes. Earlier the economic system was such that large families used to happen. Okay, people used to marry inside their caste, but now people are moving towards urban areas. Nuclear families are there. We will discuss all these things. So forces such as globalization, industrialization, modernization has impacted the marriage system in India, or you can use the word the marriage as a sacrament. They have impacted marriage as a sacrament. Fine. After writing this subheading, you can discuss the points. So I will give you certain keywords. The whole story you cannot remember and you should not write in the exam. There is a huge story behind marriage. You all know these points. What I will try to do is I will try to give you some keywords. Based on that, you can write more points in limited words. So one of the keyword is the changing purpose of marriage. Okay, this is the first keyword. What you can write in this changing purpose of marriage? Two things. One you should write is that marriage is no longer used to protect the purity of a caste. It is now used for as a let's say it is used as a acceptance, mode of acceptance. people find their mate or people find a partner just to get married and establish a family. They don't look for all other ideas like, okay, I cannot marry outside the caste because the purity will be lost. This idea has been challenged. So marriage as a sacrament has been challenged. Okay. Secondly, you can talk about in this only. One is the endogamy part. Second is the procreation and child rearing. Okay, you can write that the purpose of marriage was socially sanctioned sexual relations and procreation, child rearing. That purpose has been challenged. How it has been challenged? That people are opting for not having child, the DINK syndrome, double income, no kids syndrome. In that, people are choosing to get married. They earn, both of them earn, but they choose not to have children. It may be because of various reasons. Let's say the improved standard of living, inflation. You can talk about all these things, but in exam you won't be able to write these things. You just mention that DINK syndrome is witnessed, and people are not marrying just to create, just for procreation and child rearing. Okay, fine. Secondly, you can write about the alternatives. Okay, alternatives to marriage. Fine. What are the alternatives to marriage? Alternatives to marriage are like live-in relationships, gay relationships. So you can talk that there are multiple alternatives available to people to not go into a marital bond. They can choose to live without even marrying. So this way you can mention the second point. Third point, you can write about the family structure. Changing family structure. How family structure is changing and impacting the marriage. So there is a rise of nuclear families. There is a rise of symmetric families. What are nuclear families and symmetric families? They are very simple. Nuclear families are families which have parents and the immediate offsprings. That is it. And the symmetric families, they come out of the equal distribution of duties and responsibilities between partners. They are called symmetric families. So in these families, the traditional notion of marriage, that people are assigned duties and responsibilities in a skewed manner, this has been diluted and people have equal responsibilities. Also, in nuclear families, the concept of interdependence between social and economic interdependence between different partners has been lost. Okay, so this way you can discuss the family structure. Okay, so far we have discussed the changing purpose of the marriage, two things, and then attention, this alternative to marriage, then family structure. Now let me talk about the commercialization aspect. Okay, what is this commercialization of marriage? So you all have witnessed that marriage is no longer a religious ritualistic practice. Okay, people are focusing on uh, grand ceremonies. They are focusing on destination weddings. So marriage earlier used to be a closed ceremonious thing, a pure thing, solemnization of marriage. A priest will come and there will be a chanting of mantras, and then saptapadi will happen and people will go home. But this has changed to now a grand ceremony. Okay, so marriage is losing its earlier traditional concept. Fine. After commercialization, you can talk about all these points. You know what is commercialization, you know what is changing family status, or let's say what are the alternatives available. You know all these things. Okay, now what you can discuss now is basically de-ritualization and secularization of caste, secularization of marriage, sorry, secularization of marriage. What is this? This is a keyword. So you know the story that marriages are no longer dependent on ritual. So you can go for court marriage, you can go for civil marriages. So okay, you don't need a priest to get married. Secondly, secularization of marriage. Religious significance of marriage has been reduced. People do not recognize marriage as something which has some religious connotation. For example, if you break the bond in marriage, if you get a divorce, people do not consider that it is a sin. It might have been considered a pap or sin earlier, but it is no longer. Okay, so around 73% Indians believe that divorce is not a morally wrong thing. They believe that. Okay, so these are some points which you can discuss. Apart from this, there is an impact of adultery, rise in adultery. I would not say that it is dominated it is a dominant feature in Indian society, but significantly it has risen in recent time. So what is adultery? Adultery is nothing but breaking into a marriage. Earlier it might have been considered as one of the biggest crime, one of the biggest sin, but now it is not that problematic. If I ask you also, if somebody is going outside their marriage and they are not interested in their own marriage, you would not say that okay, this is a wrong thing, it will be a sinful thing. You will always say that okay, fine, if you are not agreeing, you can separate your ways. So this acceptance has come in recent times. Okay, what else you can discuss? You can discuss the improved position of women. This also a good point. Okay, you can talk about women empowerment also, the feminist movement. So what has happened in recent time is that women have gotten a chance to get educated. They have a chance to get a job, which makes them economically independent. So earlier what used to happen, a girl child will born and the only thing which will happen in her life is to get married. That was the scenario not so long ago. But now women have their own lives. They can create a life out of work, and they can have economic independence, which leads to there is a decrease significance of marriage for women. And the ritual aspect, the sacramental aspect is this, that in traditional wedding, traditional marriage, the duties and responsibilities were such that women were supposed to render some different roles, which are no longer compatible with improved position. Okay, if the patriarchal setup has been challenged, that means that marriage is also challenged. The sacramental nature of marriage is also challenged. Fine. So all these points, the overall story, okay, you know all the stories. What you need to do here is this only one thing, that you need to have good command over keywords. Apart from keywords, you should have a good command over examples. Okay, these two things you manage, and you can write all the answers, because these things are not that difficult to understand. You understand all these points, these are not new points. The keywords may be new to you. Okay, so remember deritualization, secularization, changing nature of family, changing purpose of marriage, all these things you remember. After writing the first part of the body, in which you are agreeing to the question that yes, the marriage as a sacrament has lost its value in modern India, you should definitely write the counterpart. What will come in counterpart? The counterpart will have basically no. You will discuss in this manner. First you understand, then you write. The understanding part is this. Yes, there are forces of change. For example, globalization bring in new values, modernization takes place. Okay, maybe westernization is taking place. Because of these forces, economic change is taking place, women empowerment is taking place. All these forces, they do impact the institution, but they do not render that institution completely changed. They do not flip the institution. They do not create a new institution. They only change it slightly. Okay. So, agreed that 53% marriages are love marriage. Agreed that 33% rise in live-in relationship. Agreed that the age of marriage is increasing. Around it is around 26.5 for men and around 22.5 for women. Okay, it has increased. So there are many changes happening in marriage, but there are certain things which are still holding on to. For example, we have discussed earlier endogamy. Only 11 to 12% marriages are intercaste marriage. You will see beyond this endogamy thing. Okay, so basically you can write prevalence of endogamy. Okay. Apart from this, you can write that people are still marrying inside their religious group only. If if the marriage has lost its religious sanction or religious value, people should have started marrying inside between religions, but it is not happening. 99% of Hindus, there are many research. We have given this in your model answer. 99% of Hindus marry within their own religion. It is a big thing. Okay, so you can write marrying within religion. Okay. Apart from this, you can talk about that marriage is still dominated by rituals. For example, you still perform saptapadi, you still light a fire, you still go to your jyotisi, you find out your muhurat. All these things are still followed. It is not that you still go to church and get married. Okay, so all these things are still happening. Okay, saptapadi and many other rituals are still happening. Okay, kanyadan, it is still happening. Fine. So it is not completely de-ritualized. So the marriage is still dominated by what? Rituals. Dominated by rituals. Okay. Apart from this, you can discuss about the duties and practices which are very old and still continue. Example, let me give you an example. The Karwa Chauth, the festival of Karwa Chauth, it is still being followed by many. Most of the women follow Karwa Chauth. It is not that it has gone from practice. Okay, so you can write that practices and traditions. Also, let me give you a negative example. The dowry system, it is still prevalent. So the traditional aspect of marriage is not completely lost. Okay. One more thing I can tell you: the arranged marriage. Arranged marriage. You may be confused that 53% of marriages are love marriage, but you know that many of these love marriages are arranged love marriage. Okay, so around 80% of urban Indians, I'm not talking about overall India, 80% of urban India is still following the arranged marriage system. Okay, so the point is this, that the question was demanding that you give your own opinion. Do you think? Okay, so you come up with your opinion. That opinion should be based in 0 and 1, in the opposites. Okay, that yes, I agree and I do not agree. And then what you will do in conclusion, I'll tell you. In conclusion, you write the refined view. Okay, you will write the understood view, an informed view, not a one-sided opinion. So we have written some 7-8 points on the agreeing side, some 5-6 points in 5 points we have discussed in the disagreement part. Okay, after this you can conclude. Okay, so how you can conclude? You can basically write that earlier in caste question I have explained that caste identity was a complex interplay. Here also you can use the similar words. You can say that marriage as an institution, very key to any society, is witnessing or being impacted by various forces of change, and it is losing its sacramental nature because marriage can be dissolved. People are focusing on different ideas of marriages, but still it has not lost completely because certain practices and rituals are still prevailing. Okay, that way you can conclude. You can make it very short. You can just write that marriage, although witnessing large scale change vis-a-vis 1 2 3 example, but still it is in its old form continuing. That way you can conclude. Apart from that, this is first idea, summarization. Okay, you can summarize of this is your opinion basically. Okay, what else you can do, which I consider more refined conclusion? What you can do, you can say yes, marriage is an evolving institution. Okay, marriage is an evolving institution which gives us a chance to incorporate other people also, the left out people also, and here you bring in your context. Okay, LGBTQ plus A, they should be given equal status in marriage. So what will happen after when you write the second kind of conclusion? If you are writing definition based in introduction, you can conclude on context based conclusion. You can use this context in your introduction, and you can use marriage the summarization as your conclusion. So whichever conclusion you like, you write, and then you upload your answers on the portal. We have provided a link. Okay, society is very simple. You work on keywords. You must have understood that marriage is very simple, caste is very simple. You can understand that, you witness it all around. Okay, what you need to do, you need to basically prepare some definitions, you need to prepare some keywords, you need to prepare some examples, and then you have to write a lot. Okay, so interpret the question in the right way. Whenever you get a do you think question, you have to present both the sides of your answer or your opinion, and then at the end you can conclude, or you should give a way forward kind of conclusion. That way it will look really nice. Okay, so model answer is uploaded. You can upload your answer key also, answer sheet also. Okay, thank you for watching. Good luck.